Hello and welcome to your weekend wrap for Ranters and Banters. I'm your host Briley, joined by my co-host Luke. And a happy Labor Day, or belated Labor Day, I guess, to all of you in the U.S. as we got a nice day off. Some well-needed rest, for me at least. And a chance to start off the little bit of a shorter week. But before we get to the week, let's talk about the weekend, and let's start with the Premier League. First game of the week was Arsenal and Brighton. And Luke, neither one of us saw the result coming here, but what a match it was. Declan Rice with the red card pretty early on in the 49th minute. A bit of controversy there. And then Brighton are able to pull it back because of that.
Yeah, no controversy with the delay of game, but surely the first yellow is upsetting Declan at the earlier minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so 1-1 draw there. Neither side looked particularly convincing of what I watched of it. But for me, I think Brighton still has to step over that last hurdle and be able to finish off a game like that if they want to compete with the top teams. I know that 40 minutes, a goal in there is good, but for me, I think they have to really take advantage of that and make it a 2-1 game if they want to put themselves in that upper echelon of teams.
I agree.
All right, and then next up we had a double correct scoreline prediction for us. 1-1 Wolves at Nottingham Forest. Again, nothing incredibly exciting about that game. Both goals were very early on in the 10th and 12th minutes. And I'm gonna be honest, beyond that, there wasn't much in the highlights that really stood out to me. I think that was a result that we just about fit both sides.
I think I said boring before during the prediction. I think it lived up to that.
I agree with you there. Definitely a snoozer. However, a game that wasn't a snoozer that we thought could have been was Leicester City and Aston Villa. Luke, did you get a chance to see anything from this game?
I did not.
Well, I had plenty to say about it. Let me tell you that. But I think Leicester City looked really good here. They showed why they are back in the Premier League. And it looked like a team that could compete against good sides. It looked like the squad that showed up against Tottenham. I think the question is still mainly in the midfield for us. But there were several chances late in the game. I mean, Vardy gets brought down in the box at the death. Unfortunately, offside call goes against him, and so the penalty doesn't stand. But I think that easily makes it 2-2. We had another couple of close moments in that game that could have easily made it a draw as well. So I think if you're Steve Cooper, you have to be pretty happy with how this team played, especially bringing in transfers and them not getting much time yet together. And I don't think it was too much a statement on Aston Villa playing down to their opponents either. Although they did not look as calm and collected as I think they could have been against Leicester. But I think it should leave most Leicester fans feeling pretty good about coming back from the international break and our ability to get some points. Ipswich Town and Fulham. Ipswich get their first point of the campaign in a 1-1 draw against Fulham. So they didn't quite get that 2-1 you were looking for, Luke, but I think that they showed a convincing performance that they can go toe to toe with at least some teams, and they're not just gonna sit around waiting to get punished.
Yeah, a point in the Prem will definitely give that squad some confidence that, hey, we can get up here.
For sure. A scoreline that I didn't, or a result I didn't have correct at all. I did not see Brentford putting up 3 against Southampton. I did see Southampton getting a goal, their first one of the campaign as well, but for me, this Southampton side does not look good. And while Brentford is a decent squad, I think 3-1 puts a lot of alarm bells on Southampton for me. I thought it would be a closer match.
They're looking more and more like the weakest squad in the Prem.
Yeah, and I think, we predicted that, but I didn't see it quite this harsh so far. Speaking of harsh, I think we got to be harsh on one of the squads of this next match too. Everton and Bournemouth. Everton give up 3 goals in the last 9 minutes of the game to go from leading 2-0 to losing all 3 points to Bournemouth. Luke, is it too early to say maybe relegation is a possibility for this Everton side?
Well, it's never too early with Everton, if you're cheering for it.
That is true.
But 9 minutes for 3 goals. I'm sure Pickford had many words to say in the locker room after that one.
Absolutely.
None of them were good.
No, I can't imagine I'd want to be anyone in that locker room after that match, but West Ham and Man City was the last one on Saturday, and Erling Haaland did what Erling Haaland does. Another hat trick, back-to-back games, and he's outscored, unless Liverpool now. I don't remember Liverpool's goal total, but he's outscored at least every other squad by himself to start the season. So what do teams have to do to stop this man?
Hope he misses some time, maybe, with a knock. I'm not sure how else you stop that. Perhaps buy him for your own club, as I don't know how much longer City will be able to keep him if they get, what they should for their violations. 115.
Yep. Hopefully so, but for now they're riding high and don't seem to be coming down anytime soon. Pretty convincing dismantling of West Ham, and I did watch quite a bit of that game, and I watched Man City just have the ball most of the entire time. So definitely just picking up right where they left off last year. Chelsea and Crystal Palace. This game was a statement, but what statement was made? Was it that Crystal Palace is a competitive side that can play well against mid to possibly upper mid-table teams, or is this a statement on Enzo Maresca's Chelsea really not knowing what the heck they are and what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm not sure which way it is, but I think I had a little bit higher hopes on Crystal this year, and it doesn't surprise me. They'll take some points off these mid-table teams, but Chelsea, I did not predict happening. I think I had that one 3-1 for Chelsea, even though it's like a London derby. They can get a little dirty, but
Absolutely.
yeah, happy for Crystal here since of my preseason prediction for where they're gonna finish this year.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it's, they're in that bottom set of teams right now without many points. And after dropping, 3 to Brentford and seeing that they might be some of our possible competition, or getting that in my head for a week or two. I'm not quite sure that's the case, but I mean, we have stolen enough of their players, or signed enough of them, that it will be interesting to see how Leicester stack up to them in the first game after the international break. Newcastle and Tottenham also, one of the 2 early games on Sunday. And Tottenham do the Tottenham thing and disappoint us.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Right after I gave them 4 goals, so.
Yes. And I think actually the goal was an own goal, for Newcastle. Don't think any Tottenham players actually registered a goal in that match. The scoreline, though, doesn't necessarily represent what went on in that game. Tottenham did dominate possession most of it. Better passes. They just didn't finish their chances and couldn't create enough to threaten that at the very back of Newcastle. Big Harvey Barnes goal opens the scoring there. Got to shout out my former Leicester man for that one. Always love his celebration. And a big contributor to Newcastle's 3 points there.
Yep, and that was all the games of the weekend, so we can go ahead and
Yes. The last game on Sunday did not happen. Unfortunately, it did. I saw this being a closer match than it was. But Luke, talk to me about Man United.
Yeah, I wasn't hopeful going into the weekend. I actually had a little more optimism. I think I had United even scoring once, but yeah, I did not think they were winning that game, and I was right. I heard it through the grapevine that team-wide bad performances, just a lot of dispossessions, sloppy play, just not the kind of play that'll win you games anywhere, and you should not be doing that in front of the home fans at Old Trafford.
Yeah, 3-0 defeat at home doesn't feel good for any squad, but especially in a game between these two. A bit.
And now Eric Ten Hag has the last 2 more disgraceful losses at home against Liverpool, so.
But those were the premier games for the weekend. So I think we had a lot better look or insight to how we thought Saturday's matches would go than Sunday's. That was quite. I don't think. I mean, Luke, you had the result for Sunday, but I guess that was the only one between us in that Liverpool match. So we have the international break next weekend. Big shout out to Casey McAteer on Leicester for getting to join Ireland's squad. I know that's a big call up for him, and I know how much that means for for an Irish lad to get called up for his national squad. So hopefully we get to see him in action a little bit, and hopefully get some more minutes at Leicester, because we brought him on a little too late the other day, in my opinion. But there we have that. And the other big event for us this weekend was Monza, the Italian Grand Prix. Well, we had McLaren correct, Luke. They were the best team on the weekend, but did not see the winner coming at all. The Ferrari one stop wins it. What did you think of that call, and how it worked out?
Yeah, in Italy at the tempo of speed. Should have seen it coming. Honestly.
Yep.
It's gonna be something to talk about now that they've scored twice consistently off the break. Maybe they've figured out their strategy. Ferrari's back in it for the constructors.
Yes, absolutely. It is looks like a three-way race right now for that. Are all three top teams within 40 points now of each other?
I do believe that's...
Yeah. Yeah, Red Bull 446, McLaren 438, and Ferrari at 407. So 39 points separating those top three teams. So Ferrari's very much still in it. And Sainz grabbing fourth after the two McLarens only bodes well for them as well. And I think it was a fairly large gap between him and Lewis Hamilton in fifth. George Russell had a bit of a rough day in the office. Verstappen and Perez, neither of them looked very good. So is it your opinion that Ferrari and McLaren have the two best cars on the track at this point, and there is a growing gap?
Yeah, it seems now on any given Sunday, we might be seeing a red or an orange car winning this race.
That is exciting. I know other storylines from it outside of that monster win was we had Magnussen get enough points for the first race ban since I believe 2012 and Romain Grosjean. He will have to sit out the Azerbaijan Grand Prix because he accumulated those 12 points within a year for collisions. So we're going to get an early look at... Is it Ollie Bierman that's stepping in for him for his second race this year?
Yeah, we're getting another look at Ollie.
Nice. Wonderful.
I believe he filled in at Saudi, if I remember that.
Yeah, I think so. And scored some points in that one. So can he do the same for Haas as he did for Mercedes? He's going to have a different car this time.
Ferrari.
It was Ferrari?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Sainz appendicitis.
Correct. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. And then have to mention my boy Pierre, who did not have his best Monza race ever. A few years after his first one, he is down towards the bottom of the order. I think he got bumped by Magnussen at one point. He was in at least one or two altercations. But some questionable strategy calls on their part, but he was never really in it this weekend, unfortunately. One retirement, that was Yuki Tsunoda. I know that he was also bumped into, or there was a collision there. Luke, do you know if that's what made him retire the car, or was it something else?
Yeah, so at the very first chicane of the track at finish line, Hulkenberg came barreling through, white smoke and all on the tires, right into Yuki Tsunoda's right side. Post-race interview, Yuki's saying he left enough room, and on all the replays, it definitely looks to be the case. But unfortunately, Hulkenberg runs into him, and the damage caused by that collision was enough to DNF the Visa Cash App Red Bull. Yuki in the paddock was discussing like how Daniel Ricciardo might have driven a little bit aggressively on Hulkenberg, causing some damage earlier in the race, and while Hulkenberg saw the Red Bull and may have confused which one it was and drove more aggressively into him. This is just Yuki speculating. And then that collision into Yuki DNFs him. Yuki's thinking Hulkenberg got confused which Visa Cash App he was racing into that first chicane, and took it a lot more aggressively than he normally would if he had known, or nothing had happened early in the race to cause him to be hot-headed. And Daniel Ricciardo ended up with a 5-second penalty for the collision he had caused on Hulkenberg, and Hulkenberg returned the favor, I guess, to the team. Daniel Ricciardo also served a 10-second penalty for failure on the first one because one of his pit crew touched the front wing during the first penalty serve when he parked it. So Yuki's retired. Danny takes a 10-second penalty for pit crew touching wing, all caused by collisions with Hulkenberg.
Yeah, that was a little unfortunate for Danny Rick, and it was a little hard to watch the replay too, because you see the pit crew guy, no, he messed up exactly. I can't imagine being in his position. That must be tough, to cause your team a penalty like that. But hopefully Danny Rick can bounce back. I'd like to see him put in a result or two before the season's over. But yeah, definitely a tough way to take some extra time, especially when it's not your fault in the first place. But you have to bring it in there. The only other thing I wanted to talk about, the start of the race. As a McLaren fan, Luke, what needs to be different there? It seemed like the McLaren drivers were either not on the same page, or just something was off, because, you start the race 1 and 2, and then a questionable move by Piastri puts Lando back in third, and he never really fully recovers from that. What needs to be different? Or was that the proper thing? Just let him race?
Yeah, so I heard all day on the radios they were following papaya rules, and I'm sure Martin or somebody explained in full detail what was going on with those, but from my understanding, the papayas are to race until other instructions are given, and that means they're allowed to race hard at the start of the race. I'm not really sure if there were any discussions on the Sunday meeting before the whole start of the race with Piastri and Norris. I'm sure that was not talked about, but going forward, I would hope, if you're going to race, you allow them to race. You just don't want them to race dangerously, and that was a almost dangerous play, taking out one of your cars, maybe two. Luckily, Piastri was able to hold on to that spot, and Norris, while getting undercut, was able to hold first place through a lot of the race before going on to a second stop. So I think, barring any other changes to their race strategy, I think they're going to have to keep letting them race as it is. Norris isn't particularly clean on opening laps either, or consistent starting on poles, so I'm sure they have a lot more detailed strategy than what I can see from the outside. But
sure, absolutely. We'll see what they bring in to the next Grand Prix. Do we have a decent little break in between this one and the next one, or are we right back at it?
Should be just a 2-weeker before Baku,
Okay.
and then we get a month. It's a month after Singapore, basically.
Okay, got it. All right. Well, we'll circle back around to that in a week and a half or so then. And last thing, did you get to watch any college football this weekend, or were there any college football games that you thought were worth mentioning or talking about?
Georgia, they're number one. They kicked the crap out of Clemson. No surprise, but 34-3 is a surprising score if you're beating up on a number 14 team.
Yeah.
I watched a little bit of Notre Dame and A&M. Notre Dame wins by 10 on the road. That's a statement. Even if it is a number, 24, 21 ranked A&M?
Looks like 20.
20, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a statement win on the road. I don't care who you're playing, especially A&M, though. They have a hard home field to go win on the road at. So 10 points. Notre Dame did what they had to do there for any committee that wants to add them without a conference championship to the college football playoff. I think if there's one more game. Oh, Virginia Tech losing at the buzzer to Vanderbilt. Just kind of a funny, I guess funny if you don't like Virginia Tech, but Vanderbilt was able to win at home against Virginia Tech on a missed field goal. So, yeah, I think that's all I remember from this weekend.
All right, the only one I saw that I didn't watch any, but it looks like 23 ranked USC beats 13 ranked LSU. Does that do more for USC or LSU? Or do you have any idea?
Week one game, I would say too early to tell, but it definitely helps USC.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on how the rest of the season goes for LSU. I mean, add one more loss, and, well, the first one matters, but the second one will matter more. USC, they have one win now and looking good for the Big Ten.
There you go. And then the only other game of note, I think, is FSU tonight. And they'll play Boston College, so either that game will be pretty uneventful, or we'll need to have Colin back on for another very long rant about what goes wrong there. But I can't imagine that'll be the case. Looking ahead, we have the NFL season starting on Thursday, so we'll do a little preview of the season in the middle of the week here, and then we'll also go over the Packers and Chargers outlook. That'll be coming up here in a day or two, and we're excited to bring you that. And that'll just kind of be it next weekend. Just a lot of football between the NFL and college. So Luke and I look forward to bringing you that NFL preview this week. But for now, I'm Briley.
And I'm Luke.
And for Ranters and Banters, you all have a great week.